now see as part of the science pass, um, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Alright? And that's basically what the time we're in. Alright? A lot of people, well, it ain't meant for everyone, alright, to know this. I'm really coming out. Yeah, I am. You up on it? You watch anyone in particular? Do you watch anyone in particular? Yeah, or do you just.
Not really. I was just, wondering.
So, what do you think about the present climate of everything with the whole pandemic and everything?
We're in sad times, obviously. There's a lot of madness going on in the world. But, yeah, that's it. Are you from London?
Yeah, born and raised. Yeah.
For a long time, or?
About a decade, 10 years. Yeah.
Was you a Christian before?
I was a Christian before, yeah. But I basically, I've always been into the Bible, always intrigued. But really, the way everything's going, it don't make sense that it's just a coincidence. I mean, going back to as far when I came into the faith, basically.
Okay. I mean, I've watched many, Hebrew Israelites from America.
Yeah.
I don't like how they're rolling.
The Israelites over in America.
Huh?
Over Israelites in America. What in particular?
Particular, how they feel about white people.
Where you from? What's your background?
I'm half Italian, half from Montenegro.
Okay.
But I just don't agree with that,
Yeah?
But maybe another time,
Well, I just ask you, you believe in the Bible? Okay, that's cool. So, well, I'm sure if you come across videos, I'm sure they spoke about the Dark Ages and how a lot of different nations were basically Israelites back then. Like the Italians, for example, even Montenegro and all these different places with the Russian icons and all that, those different things.
I know that the Israelites, they spread all around the world.
Yeah.
But I don't think that Israelites were black.
Okay. Why?
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
I mean, we're talking about 2,000 years ago. It's not really that long.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we look at where Israel is right now, it's in between, let's say, Africa and like Greece.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Like,
I mean, it was just 2,000 years ago, bro. Like,
but you know what?
I mean,
I get what you're saying, but you gotta go according to what the Bible says, as opposed to just looking at it from a world sense of view.
I could understand that. I could accept that as well. Just, like I heard, I feel like you guys are saying that salvation is only for the
Israelites.
Israelites. Yeah.
You're right, but it depends what. Okay, two things. First off, it depends what Israelites you follow, because I'm Great Millstone, so I don't know if you're aware of Great Mill. We're like the offshoot that no one likes anyway, because what they would tell you is that we're accepting of white people and we say they're Jews and whatever. So that's one of the things they would say as to why they don't like us. But the other thing is that color isn't the line. Colors in the Bible. So I gotta use my words correctly because it's a confusing thing. Colors in the Bible, alright? But as far as it goes today, the lines of color can be misconstrued basically. So someone like you, from my looking, I can't tell you for a fact, but you come across as you probably are Israelite. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but then I know that there's some groups out there, they'll be like, I don't care if you're white, you're a heathen basically, you're Edomite. You're Esau basically. But that's why I said it depends what group you follow. But the point is, and this is where you have to draw the line, is because the so-called white man is Esau. Like everyone has a biblical nationality, and there is, so like it originally started out, the so-called white man's Esau. But then when you have, what you can have happen is you can take a so-called black man, he lies with a so-called white woman, then you have a so-called mixed race individual. Then that mixed race individual could sleep with a so-called white woman again, then slowly they'll look like, over the generations, they'll look like a so-called white person. But their lineage goes back to Israel. And then you can have it the other way around. You could have a so-called white person that could marry a so-called black person, on, but the lineage goes back to Esau. So that's why I say the lines of color are not the sole thing that you establish. It's the bloodline. So that's why we say that only Israel can be saved, because you have to be of the bloodline of Israel, which really is the spirit of Israel. And that's why I said what you mentioned about dealing with the maps and the movement of people and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but you ain't got to look at it from that perspective, because it's about what's inside the Bible. Because the curses in Deuteronomy 28 basically tell you about the things that would establish the lines whereupon you're Israelite or you're not. Because you could have, like, for example,
I mean, I feel like as I'm reading the Bible, I can see that, salvation is for everybody. When I read it, I see that in the Bible.
yeah.
But what is your message?
And that's what my message is. Okay, first off, salvation, we have to understand what salvation is, because in the book, I don't know if you got time, because I want to read.
I can give you my number, and
That's the worst thing you can do with me, if I'll be honest, even because I'm bad in keeping contact. But the best thing I'll do, I'll nip it in the bud and just tell you like this. Salvation is basically to be delivered. In the book of Luke, right? When you had Zacharias, John the Baptist's father, he basically spoke of salvation being Israel being delivered from their enemies and them that hate them. So salvation is basically deliverance from your enemies. Now, when you look at the Israelites, historically, they're being enemies of all the nations. If you go to Psalms, the 83rd chapter outlines all the different enemies of Israel. So that's salvation. Now, other nations don't need salvation. They're in their salvation as it is right now. That's why the Lord came. The Lord, living true to his name, Jesus, or as the Hebrew would tell him, Yahweh Shai, he's the deliverer. He's to deliver his people, right, to save them from their enemies, and basically ultimately save them from the flesh, because they're under I don't know if you're aware of the second covenant. Basically, that's the salvation as well. That's part of the salvation. So basically, for us to be able to follow the law, statute, commandments of the Bible without the flesh hindering us from doing so. So that's what salvation is. In the times we're in right now, with the pandemic and these things, it's basically leading to the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast. So we're heading to the time of Jacob's trouble, the hour of temptation, where basically the world as you know it is on its way out. We're in the midst of a transition of power.
so in 50 words, what is your message?
Well, if you're Israelite, it's to get right. If you're the elect of the nation of Israel, the 12 tribes, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, etc.,
What happens to the other people?
they're gonna die. That's not my business. I'm a messenger. I'm like, let me just say it like this before you say.
Created by God as well.
Everyone's created by God. Everyone's created by the heaven. But the thing is, everyone's got a part to play. I'm telling you, I'm a messenger. I come out here through fear. Paul said it. He said, knowing the terrors of the Most High, we persuade men. This is me making a persuasion towards the elect of Israel. I'm hoping to escape everything that's gonna come. Even though I'm out here and I'm saying all this and I'm being very to the point with it, it's just because I can't. It's a message I've been given to pass on. So I'm not gonna chop and change it to make myself feel comfortable. No, this is a message. You can do with it what you please. But at the same time, I'm hoping that, knowing everything that's to come, I'm hoping that I get delivered from everything to come. Because it's not a good time ago.
People like you will get delivered, or
I hope.
I hope, but you don't know.
I don't know. James, if you know the book of James, it tells you that we want to say that we're going to do this tomorrow, but rather the Lord will do this. Lord willing, I get saved. I'm doing what I need to do in hopes that, I get saved. The Lord will look down on me and say, look, you did what you did, so I'm going to take care of you. Just think about Jeremiah in Babylon. he got cast into jail. He went through all kind of hell. And then when the kingdom of Judah basically was taken out, he got delivered. He weren't there when they got taken over by the Babylonians. So basically, I got to bear the message, because ultimately it's not about what I think or nothing. The message is ultimately that with I got to mask my words for the sake of YouTube, but basically the Maxine, the word rhymes with that. It's basically got nanotechnology in it, alright? Where they basically want to alter your DNA, keep tabs on you, and basically have the power as to where they track and trace you, all your movements, and anything you do, they have a record on it. That's why everything's moving towards a cashless society, because it's so they can keep, numbers and files on you, and that's.
I don't think we're ever gonna find out what's going on right now.
I mean, the thing is, like, bro, if you want to look for it, you can.
Of what you're saying.
I'm a hunt. This is the hunt. Most 100% I can be is the prophecies in the Bible. I can't tell you that.
About the vaccine. Are you 100% of what?
I'll say it like this. The most simplest way I can put it, yeah, in terms of